You've probably been there, fasting for days, skipping breakfast, pushing through hunger, waiting for that scale to finally move. You feel proud of your discipline, but the mirror doesn't change. The fat just stays. You tell yourself maybe it's slow progress, maybe you need to go longer, fast harder. But the truth is, most people who rely on fasting alone end up burning out their metabolism before they ever burn the fat they were chasing. See, fasting isn't magic. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can either build or break your body depending on how you use it. When people fast without understanding what's happening hormonally, especially with insulin, cortisol, and how the body prioritizes energy, they end up creating the opposite of what they want. Instead of unlocking fat burning, they trap themselves in a low energy, muscle wasting, stress driven state. They feel lighter for a few days, maybe drop a few pounds of water, but the real fat loss never turns on because their metabolism is running on fumes. Here's what's missing so far as our insulin control: proper refeed timing and adequate protein intake. These are the three levers that make fasting powerful. Without them, your body simply adapts to survive, not to thrive. You can't outfast a broken metabolism. You can't starve your way to fat loss if your hormones aren't aligned. Fasting should enhance your metabolism, not suppress it. It should make you stronger, more resilient, and metabolically flexible, not tired, irritable, and sluggish. Today, I'll show you there's one powerful science-backed strategy that turns ordinary fasting into a fat-burning accelerator. It's not another extreme protocol, and it doesn't involve longer fasts or more restriction. It's about working down with your physiology, not against it, to finally restore steady energy, crush cravings, and see real visible results that last. When people first hear about fasting, they think it's the ultimate fat loss shortcut. Stop eating for a while, burn stored fat, done. And sure, that's what should happen in theory. You eat less often, insulin drops, the body taps into fat stores for fuel. But in reality, most people who fast for fat loss never get past that first phase. They get stuck, the energy drops, cravings skyrocket, and their progress stalls. Why? Because the body isn't just a fat-burning machine, it's a survival system designed to protect you from starvation. The moment you start fasting without proper structure, your body senses stress. It doesn't care that you're doing this intentionally. It interprets that missing food signal as a threat. Your metabolism responds by slowing down. It conserves energy. Hormones like cortisol start rising to keep blood sugar stable, and thyroid function, which governs metabolic rate, starts to downshift. You might feel mentally sharp for a while, but under the surface, your body is switching into preserve mode. That's the hidden flaw. Fasting feels like fat burning, but often it's just as energy conservation disguised as discipline. See, the human body is incredible at adapting. When you reduce calories or skip meals for long periods, your system begins to prioritize survival over performance. It becomes more efficient, but not in a good way. Efficiency means you burn fewer calories for the same activities. Your aggressive basal metabolic rate, the energy your body uses at rest, declines. You can be doing everything right. The same fasting window, same workouts, same effort, and still see no fat loss because your engine has simply dialed itself down. Add stress into the mix and things get worse. When fasting triggers a stress response, cortisol tells your body to hold on to fat, particularly around the abdomen. This is an ancient defense mechanism. Elevated cortisol means your system is bracing for more deprivation, so it stores energy where it can. It's trying to save your life, but it's also preventing you from leaning out. Ironically, the harder you push through hunger and fatigue, the more your body resists change. And then comes the protein problem. When fasting isn't supported by adequate protein during feeding windows, the body starts breaking down lean tissue to make glucose, a process called gluconeogenesis. This might sound technical, but it's simple. Your body starts eating its own muscle to keep blood sugar stable. Muscle is metabolically expensive. It burns calories even at rest. Lose muscle, and your fat burning capacity drops even further. You're not just fasting away food, you're fasting away your metabolic engine. Another overlooked factor is our thyroid regulation. The thyroid gland controls how fast your cells use energy. During prolonged fasting without strategic refeeds, thyroid hormones, especially T3, begin to decline. This signals every cell in your body to conserve fuel. Less energy production means less fat oxidation. So even if you're fasting longer or harder, your body has already turned the thermostat down. You're trying to light a fire with the fuel valve closed. Most people make the mistake of thinking more fasting equals more fat loss. But fat loss is not about eating less. It's about training the body to burn more efficiently between meals. And that requires a hormonal environment that supports it. Insulin has to drop enough to allow fat mobilization. Cortisol has to stay balanced, and muscle tissue has to be protected through proper nutrition when you do eat. Fasting alone can't guarantee that balance. Without the right inputs, your body adapts by protecting fat instead of burning it. You might see a quick drop on the scale, mostly glycogen and water, but then everything stalls. Hunger increases, energy tanks, sleep suffers, and the body starts defending its fat stores even harder. It's not a willpower issue, it's biology. The truth is, fasting should enhance metabolic flexibility, your ability to switch between burning glucose and fat smoothly. But when fasting is done blindly, creates Sarah's metabolic rigidity. Instead, the body becomes resistant, slow, and protective. Real fat loss requires understanding how to keep the metabolism engaged, how to feed the right signals during eating windows, and how to prevent that survival mode from switching on in the first place. Fasting works only when it supports, not suppresses, your metabolic machinery. Without that strategy, all you're doing is teaching your body to survive hunger, not to thrive through it. When it comes to fat loss, everyone talks about calories, eat less, move more, burn fat. But calories don't run the show, hormones do, and among them, one stands above all others as insulin. This hormone is the master switch that determines whether your body stores fat or burns it. When insulin is high, fat burning shuts off. When it's low, your body can finally tap into its stored energy. It's that simple, yet almost everyone overlooks it. Insulin's job is to move nutrients into cells, mainly glucose. You eat carbohydrates, blood sugar rises, and insulin steps in to shuttle that sugar into muscle and liver cells for storage. But here's the critical part. Once those cells are full, insulin starts pushing the excess into fat tissue. It's a survival mechanism storing energy for later use. That's fine when insulin goes up and down naturally throughout the day. The problem arises when it stays constantly elevated because of frequent eating, snacking, or poor meal timing. When insulin never gets a chance to drop, fat burning never gets a chance to begin. This is why people fast and still struggle, because their feeding windows are spiking insulin at the wrong times. Maybe they break a fast with a carb-heavy meal or a healthy smoothie loaded with sugar, or they graze throughout the day on small snacks, thinking it keeps their metabolism active. In reality, every bite, every sip of cream, every handful of nuts, if done repeatedly, keeps insulin trickling up just enough to block fat oxidation. You might be in a calorie deficit, but hormonally, your body is still in storage mode. Think of insulin as a gatekeeper. When it's open, fat cells release energy. When it's closed, that energy stays locked inside. Most people live with that gate closed almost 24/7. They wake up to coffee with sugar or milk, snack mid-morning, eat lunch, grab something sweet in the afternoon, have dinner, then maybe a late night treat. The result, insulin never fully drops. They're never in a true fat burning state, only bouncing between glucose highs and lows, constantly refueling instead of using what's already stored. Even during fasting, insulin dynamics matter. If your last meal before fasting was carb heavy, it can take hours before insulin comes down enough for fat oxidation to kick in. And if you break your fast with the wrong foods, high carbs, processed ingredients, or poor quality fats, you instantly switch off fat burning again. The body doesn't care that you fasted for 16 hours. The moment insulin spikes, your physiology resets to storage mode. That's why many people report feeling bloated, tired, or hungry again soon after eating. They've just flipped the switch in the wrong direction. On the other hand, when you manage insulin properly, the results are dramatic. Low insulin signals the body to pull energy from fat stores. It tells your liver to produce aggressive ketones, fuel the brain and muscles efficiently. Energy becomes steady, focus improves, and cravings disappear. This is what real metabolic flexibility feels like, the ability to run on fat as easily as on glucose. And that's what fasting should be training your body to do. But here's the key: you can't control insulin with willpower. You control it with as what and when you eat. Fasting helps lower insulin, but the feeding strategy determines whether it stays low or shoots right back up. Breaking your fast with protein and fat instead of carbs keeps insulin quiet. Eating in defined windows instead of grazing gives your body the time it needs to stay in fat burning mode. Even simple habits like avoiding constant sweeteners or unnecessary snacks can dramatically improve insulin sensitivity over time. Another overlooked piece is Azir's insulin resistancy. When cells are exposed to insulin too often, they stop responding to it effectively. Your pancreas compensates by producing even more insulin, trapping you in a metabolic loop. You could be eating clean foods, but still be insulin resistant because your system is flooded with this hormone day after day. Over time, this leads to stubborn fat storage, energy crashes, and the inability to lose weight no matter how disciplined you are. Managing insulin isn't about deprivation. It's about giving your body permission to burn what it already has. Fasting works best when insulin sensitivity is restored, meaning your cells respond efficiently to small amounts of the hormone. Then even a short fast becomes powerful. Energy remains stable, hunger signals normalize, and fat loss accelerates naturally because your body finally has access to its stored fuel. The real secret to metabolic success isn't just cutting calories, it's mastering insulin. Keep this hormone low and stable, and fat loss becomes effortless. Let it stay elevated even slightly, and every effort you make, every fast, every workout feels like pushing against a locked door. One of the biggest mistakes people make when fasting is thinking that less food automatically means better results. They focus so much on the timing, the fasting window, the hours clock, that they completely forget about what they're eating when they finally break the fast. And this is where most fasting plans fall apart, because if you're not prioritizing S as protein, you're not protecting the very thing that drives your metabolism, your muscle tissue. When you fast, your body is in an energy conserving state. It's smart. It knows food isn't coming in, so it starts pulling from stored energy. Ideally, that should mean body fat, but if your protein intake is too low, your body turns to the next available resource as muscle tissue. Through a process called gluconeogenesis, breaks down amino acids from your muscle to make glucose, especially to keep your brain and red blood cells running. This is survival mode, not fat burning mode. You might lose weight, but a large part of that weight is muscle mass, not fat. And that's the hidden danger. Muscle isn't just about strength or aesthetics, it's your arse metabolic engine. Every pound of lean tissue burns calories around the clock, even when you're sitting still. So when you lose muscle, you're literally lowering the number of calories your body burns every day. Your metabolism slows down, energy dips, and fat loss stalls. Worse when you eventually eat more, which always happens because no one can fast forever. Your body is now primed to store fat faster than before. You rebound harder, gaining back the weight, often with less muscle and more fat than you started with. That's what creates the cycle of yo-yo dieting and metabolic frustration. Here's where protein flips the script. When you break your fast with a rest protein first approach, everything changes. Protein signals to your body that it's safe to maintain lean tissue. It triggers Visar's muscle protein synthesis, helping repair and rebuild muscle fibers that may have been slightly catabolized during the fast. It also blunts the insulin response that comes from refeeding, meaning you can reintroduce food without immediately shutting off fat burning. This is what people get wrong. Fasting isn't about deprivation, it's about precision. And protein is the precision tool that makes fasting effective instead of destructive. There's another critical factor: thermogenesis, or the calorie cost of digestion, protein has the highest thermic effect of all nutrients. Roughly 20–30% of the calories in protein are burned just to digest and metabolize it. Compare that to carb or fats, which only burn 5–10%. That means when you eat a protein heavy meal, your metabolism literally heats up. You're burning more calories just by processing the food. That's a massive advantage when your goal is long-term fat loss. Protein also has powerful effects on appetite regulation. It increases levels of satiety hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1 while reducing the hunger hormone ghrelin. That's why high protein meals leave you satisfied for hours, while carb-heavy refeeds trigger hunger soon after. When you start your refeed with protein, you naturally control appetite, reduce cravings, and make it far easier to maintain a consistent fasting routine without feeling like you're constantly fighting hunger. Unfortunately, many people underconsume protein, especially when they're following fasting or plant-based trends. They're afraid it will break the fast too hard or that it's unnecessary if they're eating less. But this is backward thinking. The less often you eat, the R's more critical it becomes to get enough protein during your eating window. Your body can only build and repair when the right amino acids are available. If you miss that window repeatedly, you lose muscle mass, plain and simple. Think of protein as a signal. When you eat it, your body gets a clear message: we're rebuilding, we're thriving. Keep the metabolism high. Without that signal, your system assumes scarcity. It adapts by slowing down, conserving energy, and storing fat more aggressively. That's the exact opposite of what you want from fasting. So if your goal is real fat loss, not just short-term weight drops, you must treat protein as the cornerstone of every refeed. Break your fast with quality animal-based protein: steak, eggs, fish, not sugary shakes or carb-heavy meals. Let protein take up the majority of your calories, and you'll notice the difference almost immediately: stable energy, reduced cravings, stronger workouts, faster recovery, and a metabolism that keeps firing even during fasting hours. Fasting without protein is like training without recovery. It leads to breakdown, not progress. But when you master the protein paradox, fasting smart, refeeding strong, you protect your muscle, amplify thermogenesis, and keep your metabolism running high while your body burns fat more efficiently than ever. Most people think the magic of fasting happens during the hours when they're not eating, but the real transformation happens in the Ozier's first meal after the fast. That refeed window is where the body decides what to do next to keep burning fat or start storing it again. And the difference between those two outcomes comes down to one simple but powerful move. Are you breaking your fast with protein first? This single habit can determine whether your fast becomes a fat-burning accelerator or a metabolic setback. After fasting, your cells are hypersensitive to nutrients, to hormones, to signals. Your insulin response is especially sharp if you refeed with carbs first. Even so-called healthy ones, insulin shoots up fast, blood sugar follows, and your body immediately flips from burning to storing. Fat oxidation stops almost instantly, and the opportunity you created through fasting disappears in minutes. But when you lead with high-quality animal protein, everything shifts. Protein has a minimal effect on insulin and blood sugar, yet it delivers a powerful signal to your body: rebuild muscle, maintain lean mass, stabilize energy. It's the exact opposite of the signal sent by a carb-heavy refeed. Protein tells your body, we're fed, but we're not storing fat, we're repairing tissue and staying metabolically active. It's a precision move that takes advantage of your post-fast hormonal window. Here's how it works on a physiological level. After fasting, your OI's glycogen stores are partially depleted, and your body is already running on fat and ketones for fuel. When you eat protein first, the amino acids are absorbed slowly and prioritized for tissue repair, enzyme production, and hormone regulation. Insulin rises slightly, just enough to allow those amino acids into cells, but not enough to shut down fat oxidation completely. Your body continues to burn fat for energy even while digesting your meal. That's the sweet spot. controlled insulin, strong metabolism, and sustained fat burning momentum. This is also where your VAX metabolic rate gets its boost back. Protein stimulates something called muscle protein synthesis, which increases energy expenditure. Your body uses more calories to process, absorb, and utilize protein than any other nutrient, a process known as the thermic effect of food. In simple terms, eating protein first reignites your metabolism after a period of fasting. It primes your system to burn more energy throughout the day, even at rest. There's also a hormonal advantage. Protein blunts the release of ghrelin, your hunger hormone, while stimulating GLP-1, PES, which promotes satiety. That means you feel full faster and stay full longer. Contrast that with breaking your fast with carbs. You might feel an immediate rush of energy, but insulin and blood sugar crash soon after, leaving you tired, hungry, and craving more food. The protein first approach keeps you in control. It balances your hormones naturally, keeping appetite steady and mood stable. In practice, it's simple. Let's say you've just finished a 16 or 18-hour fast. Instead of starting with fruit, oatmeal, or a smoothie, go straight to a high-protein meal, something like eggs with steak, salmon with butter, or even just a few bites of lean meat before anything else. That first 20 to 30 grams of protein is what sets the tone. It lowers the magnitude of your insulin response to everything you eat afterward. Even if you include some carbs later in the meal, your body processes them more efficiently because the protein has already slowed digestion and stabilized blood sugar. You get the benefits of fasting without the crash that comes from breaking it the wrong way. The real world effects of this approach are striking. People who break their fast with protein report smoother energy throughout the day, fewer cravings, and better workout recovery. Over time, they retain muscle while steadily losing fat, exactly what you want from any metabolic strategy. And unlike long-term fasting or extreme calorie restriction, this method doesn't suppress thyroid function or cortisol balance. It supports hormonal health, performance, and longevity. Think of your post-fast meal as the reset button for your metabolism. You can either flood your system with glucose and shut down fat burning, or you can feed it clean, high-quality protein and keep the engine running hot. The difference is only a few bites, but the impact compounds over time. Do this consistently. Break every fast with protein first, and your metabolism adapts in the right direction. You'll stay leaner, stronger, and more energized, all without needing to extend fasts or punish your body. The simplicity of this trick is deceptive. It doesn't require supplements, timing apps, or endless rules, just a shift in order and priority. Protein first, always. It keeps insulin in check, restores your metabolic rate, and trains your body to remain in fat burning mode long after your fast is over. If you want to make fasting actually work for fat loss, not just as a short-term experiment, but as a metabolic lifestyle, you need structure. Real results come when fasting is paired with a clear, repeatable daily system that supports hormones, preserves muscle, and keeps your metabolism running high. This isn't about counting calories or chasing willpower. It's about applying a few strategic habits that turn fasting into a sustainable fat-burning routine your body thrives on. Start with the hours fasting window. For most people, a 16-8 schedule is the sweet spot. 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. It's long enough to lower insulin and activate fat metabolism, but not so long that it triggers muscle breakdown or hormonal stress. More advanced individuals can stretch it to 18 or even 20 hours occasionally, but the key is flexibility. If your sleep, energy, or workouts start to suffer, shorten the fast. Remember, the goal isn't to see how long you can go without food. It's to train your metabolism to efficiently switch between burning fat and using nutrients. During the fast, hydration becomes your best ally. Most people mistake thirst or electrolyte imbalance for hunger. You should be drinking plenty of water throughout the day, around 3 to 4 liters, depending on activity. Add a salt half, not just any salt, but a high-quality sea salt or mineral salt. Sodium helps regulate blood pressure, supports nerve function, and keeps your energy levels steady when insulin is low. A small pinch in your water once or twice a day can make a massive difference in how you feel during fasting hours. If you're training or sweating heavily, adding a pinch of potassium or magnesium powder can also keep you balanced and prevent fatigue or cramps. When it comes to breaking the fast, this is where the real precision starts. The rule is simple: lax protein first, fat second, carbs last. If any, your first meal should signal to your body that it's time to rebuild, not store. A small to moderate portion of his animal-based protein is ideal, something easily digestible but nutrient-dense. Think eggs, steak, ground beef, salmon, or chicken thighs. Start with 30 to 50 grams of protein. That's about a 6-ounce steak, 3 to 4 eggs with some bacon, or a piece of salmon with butter. Eat that first, wait a few minutes, then add healthy fats like butter, tallow, or avocado if desired. The first 30 minutes after breaking your fast are critical. Your body is hypersensitive to whatever you eat. Protein in this window supports muscle protein synthesis, stabilizes blood sugar, and keeps insulin under control. Avoid starting your meal with fruit, shakes, or anything sweet, even artificial sweeteners. They may seem harmless, but they can trigger insulin and disrupt the fat burning rhythm you just built. Keep that first meal solid, savory, and built around high quality protein and fat. A carnivore-based approach makes this incredibly simple. It eliminates decision fatigue and removes the hidden sugars and processed foods that sabotage progress. A perfect example: after a 16-hour fast, break with a plate of ribeye steak and eggs cooked in butter. Add a sprinkle of sea salt and you're done. Another great option: ground beef mixed with organ meats or liver cooked in tallow. If you prefer variety, try grilled salmon or sardines for omega-3s and nutrient density. These meals don't just feed the body, they teach it to use fat as fuel efficiently. For those following others' low-carb variation, you can include small amounts of non-starchy vegetables, spinach, mushrooms, zucchini cooked in animal fat or butter. But the focus always stays the same: protein and fat first. Keep carbs minimal and ideally eaten after protein to minimize insulin response. For your second meal within the eating window, you can increase variety and portion size slightly, especially if you train regularly. Think of it as a performance or recovery meal, something like lamb chops with butter, eggs with ground beef, or salmon with some cheese. Still prioritize protein, still avoid snacks. Fasting works best when meals are distinct and satisfying, not when you're grazing all day. Throughout the day, keep your hydration consistent. A black coffee or unsweetened green tea is fine during fasting hours. Avoid flavored drinks, even 0-calorie ones, as they can confuse insulin signaling and appetite regulation. End your eating window at least 2 to 3 hours before bed to keep digestion smooth and sleep deep. This structure is simple, but its impact compounds fast. Within days, energy becomes steady, cravings drop, the body starts running efficiently on fat, and digestion improves. Within weeks, you'll notice clearer focus, less inflammation, and visible fat loss, not from starvation, but from hormonal balance. The beauty of this blueprint is that it's sustainable. You're not punishing your body, you're teaching it precision. You're using fasting strategically, feeding intelligently, and giving your metabolism every signal it needs to stay in fat burning mode. Follow this consistently, and fasting stops being a struggle. It becomes a rhythm, one that keeps you lean, strong, and metabolically unstoppable. Most people chase short-term results: a lower number on the scale, a smaller waistline, maybe a quick energy boost from fasting. But what truly matters isn't how fast you lose weight, it's how well your metabolism adapts and stays healthy long after the initial fat loss. The real victory is when your body becomes metabolically as resilient, when it effortlessly burns fat, keeps insulin balanced, and maintains energy and focus all day without constant hunger or fatigue. That's what happens when you practice this system consistently. Fasting paired with protein, first refeeds, and smart nourishment. Over time, it transforms your metabolism from fragile and reactive to powerful and steady. At the core of this transformation is insulin sensitivity. Remember, insulin isn't the enemy, it's a signal. The problem arises when the body stops responding to that signal effectively. forcing the pancreas to pump out more and more insulin just to keep blood sugar stable. That's insulin resistance, the silent blocker of fat loss, energy, and hormonal health. But when you apply this fasting and protein first strategy consistently, insulin sensitivity improves dramatically. Each fasting period gives insulin levels time to drop, while the protein-dominant refeeds prevent excessive spikes when you do eat. The result is a body that needs less insulin to manage blood sugar, a sign of true metabolic health. As insulin sensitivity improves, something powerful happens. The body naturally shifts from being F-glucose dependent to being F-fat adapted. In other words, your metabolism learns to use stored fat as a steady energy source. You stop crashing between meals because your energy isn't tied to constant sugar intake. Your brain starts running on ketones, a cleaner, more stable fuel, which sharpens focus and reduces brain fog. You feel more alert, calm, and sustained throughout the day, even during fasting hours. This is the metabolic flexibility humans were designed for, the ability to seamlessly switch between fuel sources depending on need. Another benefit of consistency is the reduction in systemic inflammation. High insulin and constant glucose fluctuations trigger inflammatory pathways that damage tissues, slow recovery, and accelerate aging. When insulin stabilizes and fat metabolism improves, inflammation markers drop, joints ache less, recovery speeds up, and cardiovascular health improves. People often notice their skin clearing, sleep improving, and mental clarity returning. These aren't side effects. They're signs of a system running efficiently again. Long-term fasting done wrong can slow metabolism, but fasting done right with proper refeeds, hydration, and salt actually strengthens it. The reason is simple. Your body learns it's not in crisis. It's being trained to burn fat, preserve muscle, and regulate hormones smoothly. The thyroid remains stable, cortisol levels normalize, and mitochondria. Your cellular power plants become more efficient at producing energy. This is how you move from short-term weight loss to long-term metabolic rejuvenation. And let's not forget the muscle factor. With protein first refeeds, you're constantly signaling your body to maintain and rebuild lean mass. This keeps your R's basal metabolic rate high, meaning you burn more calories naturally even while resting. It's the opposite of what happens with calorie restrictive diets that erode muscle and crash your metabolism. Over time, this creates what can only be described as a metabolic momentum. Your body starts working for you instead of against you. Fat loss becomes easier to sustain because your muscle and hormones are aligned. What's equally powerful is the psychological shift. When you stop chasing numbers and start building metabolic stability, food stops controlling you. You no longer feel the urge to snack constantly or rely on caffeine for energy. Your relationship with food changes because your body is finally balanced. You eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and naturally gravitate toward nutrient-dense foods that support your energy, not drain it. Consistency is the real secret weapon. One perfect day won't change your metabolism, but stacking days of proper fasting, clean refeeds, and solid protein intake will. Within weeks, your body rewires itself. Within months, you'll feel like an entirely different person, leaner, sharper, calmer, and more energetic. And unlike quick fix diets, this isn't something you'll rebound from, because you're not forcing change. You're restoring your body to the state it was meant to operate in. This system doesn't just help you burn fat, it teaches your body how to stay as metabolically free. You gain control over your hunger, your energy, and your focus. You become resilient, not dependent on external stimulants or constant meals. The more consistent you are, the more your body trusts the process. Hormones stabilize, inflammation fades, and fat burning becomes your natural default. That's not just fat loss, that's 3-pattern metabolic mastery, the foundation of lasting health and lifelong vitality.